broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Oh yeah, enjoy it. Enjoy the song this one last time. Not that, obviously, we can't listen to it as much as we want outside of this, but one last time here together in the studio.
As a theme song.
As a theme song. That's right, AfterBuzzers. Welcome to another Battle Creek After Show. Tonight we're talking Season 1, Episode 13, Sympathy for the Devil, a.k.a. the finale episode. Finale of the entire series, because sadly we only had one season.
Is it like a series when it's only one season?
I guess technically, right? Series and season finale. I'm Lauren Salaun, and you can find me on Twitter at Lauren Salaun, and I'm joined this week, of course, by Gary Thomas. Gary, how's it going?
Great, and of course, you guys can find me at I am Gary Thomas on Instagram and Twitter.
Awesome. And before we dive into the episode, you guys out there, make sure you're subscribed to AfterBuzz on YouTube, youtube.com/AfterBuzz TV. You can also find all of our after shows on iTunes and SoundCloud as well, and you can download the AfterBuzz TV app and catch our after shows there too. Be sure you guys rate, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. We want to know what you guys think of the after shows, and of course during the week, tweet at us, because we want to know what kind of stuff you're watching and what you think of everything else you're watching too.
I mean, yeah, we're still going to be here.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
We're not going anywhere.
Just because the show's going somewhere. We just, you know. So, here we are, finale episode, which I liked it. I watching it like so many times. I'm sitting there like,
You were.
Yeah, I was. I know for sure.
I was like, pay attention. There was a lot of little things that you could have missed, like when when I was freaking out. It was just so many details in this one. Yeah, I'm like, pay attention.
Yeah. Well, what did you like on the whole? How did you feel about the?
I was curious because I wanted to know if they like rewrote the ending to fit.
Right.
But then again, it still would have fit like the way this one ended. It still would have fit if it was going to be another season. I was just the whole time like, I wonder if they rewrote this. Like, it's good. Well, it's a good episode. I just want to know.
Right. I think not to jump to the complete end, but we'll jump to the complete end real quick. Had Milt died, I think, then that would have been a clear sign that they had rewritten the episode somehow, tweaked some things, gone back in there. I initially, in the beginning, when the car explodes, I was like, oh gosh, if he's dead.
I think you believed it. I'm like, no.
I was like, if he's dead, they for sure went back and rewrote things.
I was like, no way.
You know, they're just like, screw it. Let's just make things crazy and exciting.
Man, like, let's just kill off Milt.
Yeah, but based on how it ended, I think that they were definitely, leaving us enough of a cliffhanger to lead into a hopefully second season. But sadly, we won't be going there. Left the
possibility open.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, let's open up from the beginning. So we see Milt's kind of morning routine, and now who knows if that is kind of how all of his mornings start, which based on what he was saying later, it seems like potentially that's kind of how a lot of his days start.
Yeah.
He rolls out of bed. He's really, friendly to people he passes, like that guy in the elevator. And then he had kind of a little meltdown in the car, He
does it when he's alone.
Yeah, which he does that, and he does his little pep talks and stuff. He's like, positivity, one foot in front of the other, or whatever he said, like to get him in the zone and make him feel really positive. We've seen him do that before, and we never really knew the reason behind it. So this episode really showed like where all that is coming from.
Yeah, I think the last two episodes was like, Russ, let's get to know him. Now let's get to know Milt, because we've gotten to know kind of like the other characters throughout the season, just bits and pieces, but now we've really like focused on these two. So.
Yeah, which has been nice. Yeah. I like those. I mean, we
needed it.
We've talked the whole time about how we really love getting to see the characters' backstories and stuff. So Milt has his little screaming fit in the car, then goes on this intense workout and stuff, gets in the car, starts his car, and it blows up pretty good.
I think he like totally knew it was coming, because he was just like,
did you think so?
The way it's Milt we're talking about.
Yeah, he
like,
probably.
Milt,
I mean, he's so savvy with that kind of stuff. Once it's like 2 attempts and
like,
nothing happens, he's like probably rolled, like took a tuck and roll, got out of there real quick or something. But so, you know, when we open up at the next scene, he is not in the car, no body to be found, and a few minutes later, he shows up, you know, sharply dressed, a little bandage on his hand, and is like, "Oh, what's going on?" And pulls Russ aside to tell him the truth. Like, "Hey, that's my car, but you can't tell anyone. We're going to work on this together to figure out what's going on." And so Russ jumps to the conclusion that, okay, you're either protecting somebody or you want to try to kill them first. And he's like, "And you're not the kind of guy that's going to go kill anybody. So who are you trying to protect? What exactly is going on here?"
That would have been a cool twist if he wanted to.
Yeah,
you know,
like
jump on
Milt
top of
like
him.
went real like hardcore.
Yeah, and then they would have like a little secret between those two.
I know. That could have been a fun angle.
I know, right?
Yeah. But Milt was saying that, you know, because the bomb was triggered by the ignition, and it wasn't, you know, remote triggered, that means that the bomber was not on site, didn't want to be on site, and so whoever planted that bomb would have no idea that Milt had escaped, or survived, exactly. So,
but at the same time, he said he also wouldn't have left until he known
that
he was.
He wouldn't
dead.
leave town until until that's 100% sure. So they know the guy probably didn't see him escape, so they've got a little lead time to figure things out, but also would still be around somewhere.
Right.
So they go to the medical examiner to try and, you know, get some help with that too, like, you know, to help piece things together. You know, the team, so the rest of the team doesn't know that this is Milt's car. Only Russ, and Russ is, you know, committed to keeping it a secret. And they're like, okay, this car was fortified. So clearly whoever has been driving this car knows that they're a target. And when Milt was explaining explaining things to Russ, I for some reason thought that maybe that guy in the elevator was connected somehow, you know?
Yeah, because that's kind of what they do on
right. You see, get a little glimpse of somebody. Yeah,
as like a kind of throw you off of the track of what's going on.
Yeah, he's explaining. He was like, "Yeah, about 6 foot tall, Caucasian," and I'm like, "Was it that guy in the elevator that Milt talked to?" Like, oh gosh, you know. But I think that was really just an example to show how Milt is super cheery and friendly to strangers, essentially, you know.
Well, that was one of his neighbors, you know, so this is how he is in the morning. Hey, he knew him, you know, he was fairly familiar with him because he knew where he was going. And first of all, there's nothing wrong with Cleveland. Because I didn't like that comment.
Didn't the Cavs win tonight?
Exactly. 3-0.
Oh,
of course, we've won.
But hey, guess what? Golden State Warriors...
We're not going to get to that argument because I watched that game yesterday too, and we're not going to get into that because we already know who's going to get the championship.
Though I would say LeBron, not that we're getting totally off topic, but LeBron has a very good record for once he gets into the finals to take it all the way.
Stephen Curry will just not be enough.
Yeah. Anyway,
the guy in the elevator was like, "I'm going to Cleveland," and you know, so Milt is very familiar with this guy. So it's just saying how nice he is. But I was just saying, you know, you can't talk about Cleveland.
I know. He was like, "You clearly have never been there."
I was like,
"Oh, be nice, guy. Don't be such a grump."
I'm from Cleveland.
Yeah, see? Here we go. We've got a Midwesterner here. I'm not. So Russ and Milt end up going to, well, I thought it was kind of funny how Milt's like, okay, if you were coming into town from far away to try and kill me and you had to hide out somewhere for a few days where nobody would find you, where would you go? And like, you know, Russ is like, oh.
Russ knew like this.
Well, he knew real quick, but I could tell it was kind of a fun question for Russ to think about. He's like, oh, I could easily step into that guy's shoes and imagine if I were, coming here to kill you. Like in a playful way, not seriously, of course. But he's like, you know, they've got that like love-hate relationship.
Russ is completely getting off on this whole thing that Milt needs his help, always needs his help. Like he's getting off on this whole thing. He loved it. He loved every minute of it. Totally. That he gets to just be the boss, you know?
Totally. So they go to this really like janky old hotel, and Russ ends up, you know, weaseling it pretty easily out of the clerk guy that the guy's staying there. And so they go back to the van, or Russ goes back to the van to pretty much be like, oh, the guy's here, you know, and Milt's not in there. And then Russ gets hit in the face with a baseball bat.
Yep.
Oops. And the two of them are thrown into the trunk of a car, which kicks off this whole flashback sequence, which is the first time I think that we've had a flashback in the whole show, right? Unless there was, well, no, not
This
first
is-
time.
Yeah.
Because we've seen like with Goose's son and stuff,
Right.
we've had flashbacks there, but we haven't really had. This was definitely like the longest
This
flashback.
Is, like, this
like
first
the
time
most
really
meaty.
First time really with Milt, and then we kind of get this whole, just the backstory of who he was, and
Right.
just helps us understand. So it's like more of a detailed backstory.
That's okay. That's what I figured. I was like,
Yeah, so we flash back to Malibu 5 years ago, and
it's their finale.
so Milt comes off and says, okay, well, I'll tell you what's going on. And he says, well, the guy who's got us, I killed his son.
Right.
Basically. And we start learning about this whole situation where Milt was
I was gonna say,
yeah.
I just got it. Like, that completely threw me off, because when he said he killed his son, because
right?
he physically killed the one, but the other one he feels like
Yeah.
he killed too. Okay, I can put two together. Got
Yeah,
it.
He
Got
killed
it.
both of them. And
Yeah,
and that's
basically.
so Milt, I feel like. Because when I was watching, I'm like, okay, which son is he specifically talking about? And I definitely thought that, for how Milt's character is, he is very, I guess, service oriented in a sense, and very selfless at this point. Maybe he wasn't back then, but even though he didn't pull the trigger for the second son,
Exactly.
he feels so much responsibility for that. So it's no difference,
Right.
to him. But yeah, so we've got this situation 5 years ago. Milt is surfing in Malibu, and these two kids are like, oh, we need to get some weed or something. So one of them paddles out to Milt and like asks him to buy them weed. And of course, the next scene cuts to the kid in FBI custody, essentially, and
Right.
they're convincing him to go undercover as an informant to connect with this, one of his classmates whose dad is like the biggest cocaine dealer or something in the area or whatever. And so they've got this whole sequence of, they brief the kid, he goes and he meets with the dad, and like all this stuff ends up like winning their trust, all this. They
Get them all in there.
yeah, get them all in there. They have this meetup at the beach, and it ends up
busted
going
him.
over well. Yeah. So the son, though, the other son, sadly, obviously we all saw this, takes the informant, around the neck
I
at
thought that
gunpoint.
whole thing was like crazy, because the dad, he's so into this world that he knew exactly what to do the whole time. He was like
Oh,
telling
yeah.
his son, like, what are you doing?
Well,
Like,
yeah, and very
he's like,
smart,
"Stop."
because at that point, if you're surrounded by police officers, like, yeah, I guess your reaction, or like it's fight or flight sort of thing, and you want to like try and do whatever you can to get yourself out of it.
Right.
Especially because this kid was, going to go to Stanford and stuff like that.
But
and
the kid probably wouldn't have went down. He was stupid. Like, he
No,
probably wouldn't.
no.
They
But
were
you're
really
not-
after your dad.
yeah,
you
but
probably
he's not
would have
thinking,
got maybe.
he's not thinking all those steps,
He was thinking about missing Stanford. You were gonna kill somebody because you can't go to Stanford. You would not have gotten. You don't get life in prison over drugs, and you are not the direct relationship.
Yeah,
with
when you're
a
a
big
little
dummy.
kid, when you're a minor, yeah. So clearly, Daddy-O didn't brief his son well enough on, like, in case something bad happens, play it cool, bro.
Well, because his dad always told him, like, you're
can't
gonna
get
do,
involved.
you can't
Yeah.
get involved. You're gonna do legal things, which I
So-
thought it was like a really cool scene too. It's like, this is not your world.
Well, and his dad should have like prepped him a little better for in case we get busted in a sting operation.
think it
Don't
all-
try and kill other people.
Well, but the thing is, I think in all other situations he probably was prepped, but because the boy was the other 17-year-old was so prepped by the FBI, he won his trust and he wasn't thinking straight.
Yeah. So that also surprised me when Milt got him right between the eyes. That was so quick and so intense. And so at that point, like when he was saying I killed his son, he first dropped that, when Milt first said that, which son did you think it was initially?
Well, see, that's what I thought. Like, that's what I was saying. Like, the revelation came to me just now. I was thinking that he was talking about the drug lord's son.
Right.
But now I understand that he was talking more so about the other kid, because, he's all servicey and nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought initially that he was talking about the informant son, that son.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, he was talking about both essentially, but then which dad did you think he had in the car? Before because we do learn, when the team is at the station, like going through all the evidence and looking at stuff, we do learn that the dad is still in jail the drug dealer dad. So it couldn't have been him. But before that, which dad?
The whole time I'm thinking it's the drug dealer. Like,
okay.
And then when they said that he had snitched on some other people too, I'm thinking like, oh, so this is how he got out.
Yeah.
He snitched, because he wanted to get this cop, get the FBI back. So he didn't care about going back to jail. He just wanted revenge because this was the only person he trusted and loved.
Yeah.
Because now he just looks bad to me because he's just in jail snitching.
Yeah.
For no reason. For no real reason now.
Before they started going through all the stuff, like before Font was really digging in and figuring out who that car linked back to, I was thinking it was the informant son that he was talking about and the informant dad that ended up.
So basically you were right. I was on the other side the whole time.
But then, they came out with all those other details, and I'm like, oh, they are talking about the drug guy. So they did a good job of kind of, both were kind of true.
Right,
also.
exactly.
So the son gets shot, all that stuff. I think a couple days later, Milt's kind of having a closing meeting, I guess, with, I don't even remember what the kid's name was, the informant.
I don't even remember either. It's not even relevant.
Yeah. So they're having like a closing meeting with him and like, hey, you did a great job. Thank you so much. Like, you're a hero, like all this stuff, like saying what a good job he did. And even if other people aren't going to know about it and he's not going to get recognition for it, it was really important and good for him to do. And I thought that was such a great scene. And then he walks outside and
Timmy gets killed.
They ordered a hit. Yeah. And he gets gunned down. Well, not just gunned down. His dad gets out of the car.
They run his dad over.
Hit by a car. And then his son gets shot several times.
But see, here's my thing. With a drug lord of that level, there is no way I feel like the FBI in real life would just let him go. Just let him go. They
right?
wouldn't, we're not going to meet your dad or anything. We're just going to have a
little
brunch at a little diner here.
Yeah.
Let you go.
Right?
Not possible.
No, I don't think you would do that. You would probably figure something else out.
Especially since they said earlier in the episode that this drug lord was a very vicious man. He trusted no one. He did what he had to do in order to keep his business alive for so long.
Yeah.
So I don't think that was real, and that's probably why some of the guilt was there as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he didn't follow. And that's what, we learn later, Milt's like, didn't do everything by the book. And we see that with
nothing about the book. He pushed
situation.
All the buttons. Like, that kid could have got killed several times.
Yeah, so there were probably a lot of things that he was missing or not, not dotting all his I's and crossing all the T's the right way.
Right. And then, for them to get the recognition, he said, the FBI didn't care about the casualties. I think that really weighed on him.
Yeah, that he got promoted and everything.
Yeah.
It was looked at as like such a great success, which it was in terms of the drug dealer, but not in the sense, not for that kid and that family, which is, really sad. So that's the flashback we have in the car. And while that's all going on and we're learning these things, we do have some, flashes to the present time where Font and Goose and everybody are going through the evidence and the case and stuff. They're like, okay, the evidence never made it to the FBI processing place, and I haven't heard from Milt or Russ all day long. So they're like, okay, something fishy's going on. So the bad guy, I don't remember what his name was either. I don't feel like we got any real names.
I think they got their names. It just went so fast.
They said them like once or twice, and then that was it. So what he was played by Robert Sean Leonard, who was in House TV show, so a really great actor. And so he pulls them both out, or pulls Russ out of the trunk first, and he's gonna like shoot him and stuff, and Milt's like, no, he has nothing to do with it, like just let him go.
No, he was never gonna shoot him. He was already letting him go. He was like,
he was already letting him go?
Yeah, he was telling him to go. They thought he was gonna shoot Russ first, but he was like, no, I'm letting him go.
Okay.
Get out of here, because it has nothing to do with you.
And Russ is like, I'm not going, this is my partner. I'm like, yeah, Russ, yeah, you're friends, you love each other.
Right, like here's this whole bond now after 13 episodes and a cancellation.
We're better. We're sad about this.
Right.
So he pulls Russ out. Russ doesn't go anywhere. And while Russ is kind of getting the poop kicked out of him, essentially, by this guy, Milt's like using a pair of sunglasses to take apart his handcuffs, like undo his handcuffs and stuff. Which I was like, dang, how do you do that? I don't want to learn how to.
That's FBI stuff.
Yeah, that's like fancy trick.
Right.
So yeah. Milt is messing with his handcuffs and stuff, and right when the bad guy turns and like points the gun at Milt, Font pulls up in a police car, and so with their police car and a sheriff's car, and things get even more chaotic and all that stuff. And Milt like does a little karate chop kick and kicks the gun out of his hand, which I thought, of course, Milt like was like, "Hiya!" and kicks the gun out of his hand.
It was like a really stupid kick too.
It was so funny, but it was like perfect. I thought it was so good.
So Milt.
Yeah, so Milt. It was so funny. Anyway, so yeah, kicks the gun out of his hand, and right when Font shows up, and then Milt gets out of the trunk. So we think, oh yeah, coast is clear, everything's okay. Milt gets out of the trunk and turns the gun on them.
On Battle Creek.
Yeah,
well,
turns
Detroit
it on
Battle
Font
Creek.
and turns it on the sheriff. And what did you think he was going to do?
I was like, is there like a twist that he is a bad guy or
Yeah.
what? Then I was like, no, this is Milt. He's probably going to let the guy go.
I thought he was going to let him go.
Like, it was like almost starting to get predictable because we just know the character so much now. Like, so it was like, I'm not even impressed right now. Just let's end the show.
I thought he was going to let him go. Like, be
Yeah.
like, I wronged you, and even though you wronged me right now, my cut was deeper, so run for it, sort of thing, and never come back.
Russ made a valid point. He was like, listen, the only guy that this dude is a danger to is Milt. So I don't care what you do at this point. If you want to let him go, let him go.
Yeah, like, whatever, Milt,
He's
your
like,
problem.
Exactly. Like, he's going to keep coming after you, not me.
Yeah, so Milt then gives like this awesome speech, I thought, about how, he...
It was a Milt speech.
Yeah, I know. He's good at those things, though. But how he made a big mistake back then, and, it shouldn't have happened. And ever since then, he's been trying to balance the scales, as he says, trying to do everything by the book and, solve as many crimes and put his way as many bad guys as he can to try and...
right the wrong
that he did. And he's like, I know I will work the rest of my life to do that because I will never be able to right that wrong. And, but I'm working on it. So it's kind of his way of apologizing and like honoring his son's life, I guess. And so he empties out his clip, puts one bullet in the chamber of the gun, hands it over to the guy, and is like, basically, here, you can shoot me if you want to.
And I think they put the music on and everybody thought that the guy was going to be okay with the speech.
I for sure did.
You're right. It's not going to make me feel any better. That dude was like,
yeah.
BS.
Yeah, you see him get like a little like misty and he's like thinking about it.
Put the music on.
He's like, I like that speech. Yeah, totally, man. And you're like, oh, Milt, you're so good. And then it was like, boom. I was like,
do you hear that what the guy said? The guy said, it took 2 years to figure out what happened. 2 years for me to, get over here and become a janitor. 2 years, for me to get my resume up so I can get in a federal building and to build their trust and to get this file.
It was like
he has been working.
It was a 6-year process. He's not going to be handed a gun with a bullet in it right point blank range of the guy he wants to kill and not pull the trigger.
Lost his wife, lost his son, lost everything, and I took 6 years to figure out, no. What I'm going to do is
we're going to go for it.
Right. I worked this daggone hard.
Yeah, so gets him right in, like, where your heart is. Right? Yeah.
So that's what I'm wondering, was it like a fake bullet or he just
didn't
really
fake.
shoot the correct spot?
It wasn't fake. He for sure got shot. And so, yeah, Milt gets shot right in the chest, which to me looked like, right in the money.
Well, I think he got shot up here. The heart's really down here.
Well,
so
it's on your left side, though, right?
Yeah, but he shot him like up here.
Yeah, I guess he shot him in the upper chest.
Right,
so maybe it wasn't here. Right in his heart.
Exactly.
But
I think that's what Milt
anatomy. I don't know. Yeah, so like Russ rushes over and he's like, oh, man, yeah, it got very serious and very like bromancy. I loved it. And Russ is like holding down the blood and stuff, and Milt they giggle together a little bit, and Russ like, you're gonna live, right? He's like, yeah, and they're like,
hug in this whole
and then it cuts off, which doesn't really leave us with much resolution.
Well, I mean, actually, I think that does leave us with basically that was a good lead off,
Yeah, I mean, some people,
if it was really a season 2, that would have been,
Oh, that would have. That's an excellent way to end a season 1 for sure. If you've got a season 2 coming up, but I think since we don't have a season 2 coming up, I think it definitely showed us that Russ and Milt have formed a very strong bond, and they've been through a few situations where one of them or the other is in a sticky situation, and they kind of come to each other's side and rescue in a sense. So,
and we have Russ and what's her name
Russ
together,
and
Holly together, and we finally know why this guy's in Battle Creek.
Yes.
I think they
yes.
wrapped it up. They wrapped up the first season the way they were supposed to.
Yeah, because he said he was doing all this stuff by the book and trying to do everything perfectly right, that everyone thought he was trying to show them up and like be better than them, so nobody really wanted him around.
Exactly. So they were like, we're gonna put you somewhere where you can be by yourself and there's no one else for you to show
you
up.
can do everything perfectly and no one will care.
Right.
So yeah, I think they, for a season 1, I think it ended well, but then for a series, I think it ended well too, because we get those questions that we wanted answered. We saw those relationships that we wanted to see, and if people really hated Milt, you can go on believing that he just died at the end, because we don't really know.
He doesn't die at the end. He's gonna be fine. I think they did a good
I
job.
know, but you can like live in denial with that, because it's not like 100% confirmed.
Yeah, I think they did a good job of just closing a chapter and being able to open a second season with a completely new chapter. Just a couple things to carry over for the relationships, but it could be a whole new story.
Exactly.
To like carry through the season. You know?
So it was fun. I had a lot of fun watching this.
I
series.
did.
I think definitely the first like 5 episodes they were figuring out their tone and stuff, but the second half of it was a lot of fun to watch.
This series actually made me look up Dean Winters.
Oh yeah?
And
he's done so much.
He's done a lot, and I found out like some interesting things about him. Like Dean Winters, first of all, he's 6'2", which is surprising.
Tall for an actor.
Because that means like Milt is actually really tall, because he's taller than him. He's like 6'2".
Yeah, because he looks so tall compared to Dean Winters.
So
how tall is Josh?
Exactly. So
he's so hunky.
Anyway,
even taller. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna blush over here.
But and then I found out he's been on a lot of things. He did, like you said, start acting late, and also like he almost died once. Like from like he had like a really, I think it was like a heart, thing where he on the way to the hospital, like he almost died. Then he got gangrene after that, so he's like missing 2 toes and like a half a finger or something. Craziness, huh? Dean Winters,
that sounds like so much like Russ. I feel like that would be how Russ would like be missing a few toes.
Dean Winters had a little rough.
Yeah. And for all you out there who don't know, he's the mayhem guy on all those mayhem insurance commercials. He's also on Law & Order SVU, all that stuff.
He's a lot of episodes of SVU.
Yeah, he was on for a while. So I'm excited to see what those guys are going to be up to now. Now that
maybe Josh is going to go back to soap operas or something.
Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? So that wraps it up. Thanks, guys, for tuning in and watching with us all these weeks. We loved having you
weeks.
along.
So 12 weeks. We did 12 weeks.
Yeah. Gary, where can everyone find you online, and also here on AfterBuzz? What other shows are you doing?
Oh, I don't have any shows yet.
I don't have any new ones right now.
I don't have any new ones yet, but I am Gary Thomas on Instagram and Twitter, and I am GaryThomas.com, and I'll be doing new shows hopefully I'll be in power. Yeah, cool. And I'm Lauren Salaun. You can find me on Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere at Lauren Salaun. That's LaurenSalaun. And I currently am not. All my other AfterBuzz shows are on break right now. So I will be getting on a few new ones soon. So follow me on Twitter and elsewhere to see what new ones I jump on. And thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys later.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.